Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris, and in this channel we do a lot of watercolor as well as other media. So for this video I thought I would talk to you about some watercolor terminology. If you're like me and you love to watch watercolor videos here on YouTube, you might have come across some of these terms. And so I thought that for today I would explain what those terms mean so you could have a better understanding of watercolor. So the first term I want to talk about is tubes and pans. So watercolors come in two forms. They come in tubes and they come in pans. Now sometimes when they're talking about pans, you will hear the term half pans. So half pan basically means half of a full pan. So this is full pan, this is half pan. Full pan, obviously we have more paint than a half pan. So next up, you will also hear the term professional grade and student grade. So here we have professional, here we have student. The difference is that for student grade you get less pigment and more binders or fillers, and they're significantly cheaper. Professional grade, they have more pigments and they are more, therefore they're more vibrant, and they're also more expensive. Now another thing that you will always hear is pigment. So pigment just means what pigment the paint has. So for example, if we look at this tube, this 2 by m gram, if you turn it around, you will find here. So you will see that it's pigment P048 P1 150. So pigments will always, depending on the color, they will start with P and then the color. So for example, PR is pigment red, PO pigment orange, PG pigment green. Now another thing regarding pigment is that you will hear pure pigment or single pigments. So what that means is that your paint, if it's a pure pigment, your paint will only have one pigment. If it's not pure, that means it's going to have more than two pigments. So for example, in this Watercolor gold that we just saw, this would not be a pure pigment because like you saw, it has two pigments. Now if we get this quinacridone red, this word is always so hard to pronounce. You will turn it back and you will see that it's PR209. So this is a pure pigment, single pigment. Moving along, we have the term transparency. Now if you will hear this all the time, that watercolor is a very transparent medium. So what transparency means is that the paint allows light to come through. In the same in the same category of transparency, you will hear semi-transparent, semi-opaque, and opaque. So let me give you an example of that. So here I have three different paints. We have quinacridone red, this will be transparent. Diarylene yellow will be semi-transparent, and lavender will be opaque. Now transparent, like I said, it would let the light shine through. So one way to see whether a paint is transparent or not is by doing a dark line and then you swatch your color on top of it. If your pigment is transparent, you will see that there is nothing on that black line. Now on the other hand, if your pigment is semi-transparent or opaque, you will see some of that pigment on top of the black line. So I'm not sure if you're able to see here. You see a little bit of the yellow on this on the black line, and in this one you see a little more pigment on that black line. Now the reason you might want to know whether your paint is transparent, semi-transparent, semi-opaque, and opaque is personal preference. Some artists prefer to paint only with transparent watercolors, other artists don't mind using some opaque or semi-transparent watercolors. But like I said, these are terms that you will hear when it comes to pigments. And then one of the more important terms that you will always hear is life fastness. So life fastness means how long the pigment is going to last over time. And different companies measure life fastness differently. For example, we have Sennelier. They measure the life fastness from 1 to 5, and they use Roman numerals. So this life fastness for this color will be 2. So that means that the life fast is not excellent, but it's good. You have Holbein here that measures life fastness with stars. So I believe 3 stars means that it's very excellent life fast. And then you have Core, which will measure life fastness by writing, telling you here. So in this case, the pigment is excellent. So I would really recommend you look into each company and how they measure life fast. And a way you could do that is just go online and look for their website and they usually have color charts. And if you click in the color that you're interested in, they will tell you the entire information. They will tell you pigment number, life fastness, whether it's transparent or opaque. And that leads me to another term. So when it comes to life fastness, here comes my cat. I don't know if you can see her. Clay, can you move? I had to remove her. She loves windows, and I have my window open to get some light, but unfortunately it's getting cloudy. So I apologize if my light is not the best. So I was talking about, okay, from life fastness, another term that you will hear is fugitive. You will hear fugitive pigments. So that just means that the pigment it doesn't have a very good life fast rating. It will fade over time. So the next terms I'm going to talk about are non-staining and staining. So what that means, if a pigment is staining, that means that if you try to rub it with the brush, you are going to be able to lift up some of that pigment, but you will get like a stain. If the pigment is non-staining, that means that when you rub it and you try to get off some of that pigment, most of the pigment will come off. It's very easy to lift. And of course, you will never get pure white. There's some pigment that's going to stay on your paper, but as you can see in this example, we have perylene red is staining because we try to remove it and there's some pigment came off, but there's a lot of the pigment still left. Cobalt blue, on the other hand, is non-staining. That means when you rub it, a lot of that pigment lifts up. Now, the last term regarding pigments and colors is granulating. So granulating means texture. It just means that the pigment is more chunkier. It's not as smooth. So when you put it on your paper, you will get this texture right over here. I personally love granulating colors. One reason you might want to know this term is if you are looking to paint very smooth, not texture at all, then you want to make sure you do not buy any colors that are granulating. And like I said, you could go online depending on the brand that you are interested in purchasing from. So for example, if you go online to look at Daniel Smith, if you go online to look for Daniel Smith's colors, they will give you a color chart and they will tell you in there which the properties of each color. So moving along, now we have brushes. So for brushes, the terms that you will hear a lot will be round brushes. So basically what that means is that your brush has a belly and then it comes down to a very fine point. These brushes are very versatile. A lot, if not all watercolor artists use them. And besides round brushes, you will get also flat brushes or this shape of brushes. Another term that you will hear about brushes is synthetic hair or real hair. So real hair means that it's made out of like real hair from animals. Synthetic means that it's not real hair. And there's also some companies that make hybrids. So they make brushes that are synthetic and that have some animal hair to them. For example, one of those companies will be the silver black velvet brushes. So for the last terms I want to talk about are regarding paper. Now paper, just like paints, they come in student grade or professional grade. Student grade will be like your Canson XL or Strathmore 400, 300, 200. Professional grade will be like the Strathmore 500 series or your Arches or Fabriano Artistico. And the difference is that professional grade is 100% cotton and student grade is not. It's cellulose paper. 100% cotton will always be more expensive. So professional grade paper is going to be more expensive than student grade. And when it comes to paper, you will find 3 textures. You will find hot press, cold press, and rough. I don't have any rough, but basically it just means the texture of the paper. So hot press will be really smooth, really smooth. For cold press, let me show you here. It has more of that texture, like little mountains in there. And rough is going to have more texture. Another term that you need to know about paper is that they come in 90 pounds, 140 pounds, and 300 pounds. So basically that just means the thickness of the paper. So 140 pounds will be thicker than 90 pounds and 300 pounds will be thicker than 140 pounds. So if you look at here in your paper, for example, in this pad, you have 140 pounds and 300 GM. This is the same thing. So when people are talking about 300 GM, they're talking about 140 pound papers. And then for 300 pound, I'm not sure what the GM is, and I'm not sure about the 90 pound what the GM is, but I'm going to make a note in this video. And finally, the last thing about paper is that they come in blocks, pads, sheets, or sketchbooks. So let me show you a couple of examples. So here we have a sketchbook. You will get the spiral bound, or you also have some sketchbooks that they don't have the spiral. They're just like this, they're closed. So pads come like this. You open it up and it has glue here on this side, and then you can easily rip them off. Another way for you to get paper will be on blocks. So blocks have glue on all 4 edges. And the last way you could get paper is by sheets. So you could buy big sheets of, I believe, 22 by 30 inches, or you could also buy little packets of sheets. This is the Strathmore 500 Ready Cut series. So thank you for watching my video. I hope you were able to understand some of these terms. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can put them in the comments down below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And thank you again, and I'll see you next time. Clay, do you want to say hi? You want to say hi? Now you're shy. You weren't shy before. Say hi.